Greetings. Elder Blacklight here. We're going to get right in it. First of all, number one, for those of you who don't know who I am, I'm a brother born and raised in the city of Detroit back in 1946 when I was in my mother's stomach getting ready to come out. My mother was going to the meetings here in Detroit, Lost Foundation of Islam. My uncle had been in it, her brother, back in those days. His name was, when he first came into the nation, his name was Lloyd X. Lloyd X. And he used to house one of the ministers, Brother Limnium. My uncle had a two-family flat on a street called Harding on the east side of Detroit. And Brother Lemuel, who was a minister, one of the ministers in Detroit at that time, lived in my uncle's house. My uncle was close to Malcolm X, and my cousins and are still close to Malcolm's ex-brothers and their family. And my grandmother was in the nation. She was an MGT. And my mother's older sister was in the nation. They're deceased now, all of them that I mentioned. But, you know, I still got cousins and first cousins, second cousins. They're still here in Detroit. Still Muslim, some of them. Some of them got with York. Some of them got with Wallace. But out of all of them, you know, I remain true to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Even though at one point I did go with Minister Pharaoh, but then I seen some stuff I didn't like, and then I got with Supreme Minister John Muhammad. Supreme Minister John Muhammad is the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's brother, blood brother. Now I don't have as many views as young Pharaoh. During this particular broadcast, he had 16,000. Could have went higher. I just wanted to see how many was tuning in. Now, all of them views you know, we don't know if they are for real, you know, made up. But this brother been busting up movements. He came into, first he was with Nature Boy. Then he left Nature Boy and got into the camp of Sinetta. Then him and Polite hooked up. Then they fell out. Then Sinetta and young Pharaoh fell out. Then he got with Cyrus Sudiseti. Then young Papi Hassan got with, well, he did a interview, he was trying to focus on Zulu Nation. Some stuff was happening over there. I'm not going to get into that. And Sinetta gave him a platform, and then him and Sinetta fell out, talking about Papi Hassan, and Sinetta fell out. Now he fell out with young Pharaoh also. All this drama. And they got all these views. So the people that are viewing in on this, they can't be mature, level thinking people. And I know they're young. And they wasn't back in those days that young Pharaoh is talking about. I'm going to take my time with this one. Because you got to use your mind and your brain. If you don't, you'll go insane. Now, let's, profile young Pharaoh. He done went through all those different platforms, fell out with just about everybody except, I don't think him and Cyrus Sudiseti fell out. But he done fell out with everybody. So I believe he was a plant from the beginning. He was a plant from the beginning to stop, first of all, to stop Sinetta, because Sinetta was on a roll until he started kind of like ego tripping and having those debates. And then him and Polite, I don't believe that they are working in concert together, but Polite could be a con man. But I think young Pharaoh's more than a con man. I think he's an agent, and he worked for the Jews. And Mr. Farrakhan, he fell out with the Jews a long time ago, because in the beginning, the Nation of Islam, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was using the Jews as an example on how the Jews and the Nation of Islam, or the Muslims, had a similar type culture. They ate kosher food, and the Muslims ate halal food. So it was a similar culture, because the Jews are copying off the original man's culture, which is Islam. Goes all the way back before the pharaohs, goes all the way back before the pyramids was even built. Now, young Pharaoh is lying. Straight up lying. First of all, the South and the North are still in the war together. The Klan and the Jews are clashing. The Jews have merged in with the Romans, took over that, took over Christianity, but the Klan is in a war with them. The reason why the Klan, the Mafia, the government, the reason why they didn't mess with, they tried to mess with them because they couldn't do it. If Elijah had did all that, like they said, look what happened to Dr. York and what they did to him. They didn't do Elijah like that because they couldn't. See, y'all don't believe that righteousness can defeat evil. You know. So the Jews had to make it appear that they were unrighteous. But if they could make the Muslims, and y'all believe that the Muslims was unrighteous, you wouldn't follow them. Well, y'all ain't gonna follow them anyway, because most of y'all are unrighteous, and y'all know that these brothers at that time, under the leadership of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, was righteous, and y'all knew that they had to have a God in their corner lifting them up. That's why he lived so long. Because if the Jews, the Klan, the Mafia, all these different white people, if they could have stopped the movement of the Nation of Islam, they would have done it. Now we're going to shut this one down and come back. I'm just laying out an outline for y'all to think about. Black light.